update here.
All right, for those of you who joined me this week, we played Path of Exile with the Huntress. Freaking phenomenal character to play. I had so much fun with it.
about Path of Exile 2. Now, we've been having kind
I
of
don't know if I'm a main it, right? But it's been pretty fun.
Updates, on what they believe the state of the game is, some things they're working on, and a lot of the positive changes and buffs to basically direct player feedback. So today is no different. Actually, and today they're actually focusing on what probably is the largest, other than map area changes that we saw in the previous one, the other major feedback point would be like monster speed as well. So we're going to kind of break down what's going on here. So basically they acknowledge that there has been many reports about being overwhelmed by monsters, and this is because of a variety of facts. And they have isolated what they believe is, they went case by case in each one of these mobs. Basically, they've isolated, they believe, some outliers in terms of like annoyance about mob speed. One of the first things they identified was that there's a lot of human monsters that were interrupting your attacks here. And they say humans in Act 3 have behavior where they can interrupt their melee attacks if players move too far out of range during the attack. So they basically removed this interaction, so you're not going to get as interrupted as often. So the need to go backwards because you're getting interrupted and you can't finish your attack has been gutted, so you should be able to feel less overwhelmed by these type of mods. They also added, and here's a good one.
I think I know what they're talking about here. I've had that issue here and there a couple of times. Maybe I should be more stingy with my games, because I kind of just assumed that was like it. That was like a part of it. Like, I don't get interrupted. I thought that was like just a part of the game.
The haste aura monster modifier no longer appears on monsters that are already fast. This actually happened to me in the other day in maps. It was actually pretty hilarious. There's this guy who comes zipping off the side of the map like a blue bow of lightning, just boom, right on me. I couldn't even tell what kind of monster it was because he had a haste aura, and I guess it was a boar or a wolf or something that was already just way faster. He was right on my ass.
It was just stacked to begin with.
So this is actually a really nice change to just the random, absolutely terrifying mobs you see. There's a whole list here of Act 1 changes as well. It's kind of some cool changes too, because instead of just like we've lowered all monster speed by 15%, they actually kind of went case by case through the monsters. So like this is a good example. The werewolf prowlers and the tendril prowlers now enter a walking stance after performing a melee action. They'll only begin running again if you get a certain distance away from them. So if you stay within a certain pace, you can kind of, back guard there a little bit. This behavior has been applied to many fast monsters as well.
I actually like that, because that would make the distance away that you are from your enemy a little bit more in play, which is okay, because especially with the Huntress, there's like certain buffs that you could apply that like require you to have enemies like 7 meters away from you to get bonus damage, stuff like that.
Oh, the Hungering Stalkers now have 12% life and damage. They say they were already super fast, so they're just, lowering their life a little bit to account for the, their strength otherwise, and they are tended to engage and attack quickly, but be...
I can see that, just to like sort of to help out with the buffs that they got.
Weak and die fast. They reduce the number of bloom serpents in the Red Veil, have the number of venomous crabs in the hunting grounds. These are the actual terrifying...
I know, you know what? Not until they said it did I notice that there wasn't quite as many crabs in the hunting grounds. Those things were freaking annoying!
Fine ones to shoot like the green...
The venomous crabs are one of the most annoying freaking things ever, dude! There are so many crabs, and with the poison applied as well, it just melts your freaking health completely.
Little, like, chaos poison beam. Those guys actually can hit you, pretty hard, so that was a little scary. The Cultists of Freythorn no longer have interrupt attacks. You're gonna notice a lot of like interrupt event type of attacks are being removed. This is actually going to be significantly nicer for long cast animations. So if you're playing like Sunder Warrior or something, and you're like, going to attack your move, and you get hit by like a guy's like little peewee attack there, and it interrupts your whole thing. There's gonna be a lot less of those, which was highly annoying. That should be nice for Warrior.
That is absolutely not just in the campaign, but overall, I believe, when mapping, I think it's gonna, like, absolutely help out a lot with, like, I guess just, like, TTK and overall, like a big thing about, I feel like, Path of Exile is, like, clearing a map very quickly and just non-stop movement, you get me? And anything that slows it down too much, I feel like could potentially be a detriment to the game. Because it's just slowing down the gameplay.
Axes and maces now.
It's one thing if you're fighting a boss and the boss is like has a unique mechanic, is a little bit tougher or something. Like you can understand certain aspects. But if like running around in maps, like certain things keep slowing down the gameplay, it could be a detriment for sure.
Walk after performing a melee action, only running once again after you exit a certain distance. And if you know those like red blood pools that will go after some mobs after the blood cretins, this has been decreased from 6 seconds to 4 seconds, and fix the area of effect to match the visual more closely. This is actually a nice change as well. And then if you look at this here,
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was an issue, but yeah, the freaking the blood is so, the blood pools are so annoying. The amount of freaking rage they have is also insane.
Manor. OzDaMonke has a lot of like stunning mobs, like difficult, fairly mobs, and they remove the overall density of the more challenging mobs in the manor. This is right.
You're not wrong. I got through OzDaMonke a lot faster at the very least with the freaking hunters.
Right before you get to Geonor. The annoying like roly-poly dudes in Act 2 have been replaced by risen Marikefs. You're no longer having these like constantly annoying dudes shoving you all around in Act 2. And the Ferrodin have all been modified to remove the interrupt events on their attacks as described above. So there was just, again, there was just a lot of like annoying, like you're going to attack and then you get stunned, and you got attacking you get stunned again. So a lot of these have been gutted.
That's a lot. You know what? I might try running my warrior again this time around just to see if I like this a lot better. A lot of that stuff was freaking like, a lot of that ruined the character for me.
Annoying roly-polies in Act 3 are more likely to push you to the side instead of just like pushing you and dragging you all the way. This has been a complaint of mine for quite a while now. Actually, this has been complained about a bunch of people for quite a while since the launch of the game, pretty much. The Lost City monster pack composition has been adjusted to result in less range monsters as well. Massively adjusted the Azeg Bog, firstly by aforementioned changes to interrupt events. Good, but also changed the monster composition of the area to have less range and elite monsters as well. And they fixed an issue where the Slither, Spitters, Poison Spray, and Venom Crypts was dealing chaos damage instead of physical damage, so you'll be a little bit tankier again.
Okay, that one makes me mad. That one actually makes me mad. Genuinely. It's because chaos is still here. It's because of this. It's because of the Venom Crypts that I 100% spent so much time putting chaos defense, thinking that poison was chaos. I was like, no, I did. Burrito and chaos are both telling me that, like, no, chaos damage is not, poison is not chaos damage. And so I'm like, no, stupid, it's chaos damage. Because when I put the chaos damage in the Venom Crypts, it freaking, like, I die less. And it's like, no, we had so many arguments about this, and it's because the game was broken. I'm sorry, this was, I'm hot. This one's been going on for a while.
You also acknowledge there's an issue where sometimes
there's some behind the scenes stuff to that one. There's lore to that one.
Denser than they actually mean for them to be while going through the campaign here. So they have identified this, but they can't get it within this patch. It's going to be in the next patch. They also acknowledge there are more things they want to do. However, this is what they were able to do pretty much immediately upon the consistent feedback here from the launch. So they're saying we're not done, but this is what we can ship now. It's nice to see some movement on these points in particular. I know this has been one that's kind of been like, debated by them and whether or not they actually want to go this way. But I believe these changes are for the better. And it is.
I mean, this is like the first major like class. Like the first major. Sorry, I'm like taking off my. It's freaking hot in here, my dudes. Taking my socks off. Oh, I got my toes out. I got sandals. Relax. Nah, son. I feel like it's a lot of very, very positive changes, especially for like one of the first like major class updates, that we're gonna be getting. So I think it's nice. Of course, we had the new ascendancies and all that, but I'm just sort of happy that that they're making a whole lot of changes, especially to the melee. Like now, like this early, you get what I'm saying? I kind of was worried that they were gonna be making a lot of these like changes for like interruption and stuff like that, like too many ranged enemies in very, very hallway-y like maps. Like a lot of those things like really irked me with the warrior, and I just didn't think I was gonna like play much melee in this one as compared to in Path of Exile 1. I played a lot more melee.
It's also nice to see they didn't just like gut numbers. Like, we're just going to cut speed by 25% and cut life by 25%, damage by 20, just make the mobs easier. Instead, they looked at every mob and it's like, what are some actions we can take to make the mob less annoying, but still kind of keep.
And not only that, but yeah, they're like going down to like each individual monster too. I like that
the theme of it. And I think removing the interrupt stuns is a big one, but also like the cool thing about the werewolf will chase you, but if you're kind of close to him, he'll like walk towards you as opposed to like just chasing you down nonstop. You're also addressing some of the bosses. So in the campaign, Viper in Act 3. You know, the lady that's got the square around her of all the guards there, a rectangle, I suppose. So lower the amount of Chaos Reigns, the purple ones, in the Viper fight, and cleaned up the visual left afterwards faster to make the following drop locations more obvious. So it's just going to be a little bit easier in one specific part of the Viper. The rest of the Viper's fights remain the same. Even the fire first portion of that phase is remaining the same, but the giant purple ones are going to be a little bit easier to dodge here.
I'm glad, because the game, honestly, a lot of people disagree, but there is quite a bit of there's too much visual noise on the screen at times. Some of it's necessary, some of it's not. I'm glad that they're making adjustments to make it more noticeable or less noticeable where it needs to be.
Uxmo had various quirks that made him somewhat annoying to fight. We made a few changes, reduced the number of times Uxmo changes locations through the fight. He can no longer recharge energy shield while in the air and uses his flame breath less often. So you got the Chimera is going to be a little bit less annoying there. And the arena here for Exulion, I forget the name, has had ground foliage removed in order to make his effects more visible. So again, all right, now we're going to get into player minion changes. So minions were not in the
map changes too is freaking wild. Okay.
Stayed upon launch of this league, and they're also been kind of adding some.
All right, this is starting to touch my baby, because I'm a witch maiden. What's happening? What you doing to my minions? Why you doing this? We have changed the way that minion revive timers work. Okay.
Patches back in to try to make minions a little bit better than they were, but you know, minions remain pretty gutted from the previous patch. Now, if you look here, one of the biggest complaints about minion revive timers is if a minion dies, you have like this 7-second revive time, and then if another minion dies, it resets the minion revive time for all of them. So instead, what they're doing here is they make it where each successive minion that dies increases it by less and less. So this way, your minions still are coming up at the same time, because that's important, but you're not having to wait as long and having it be reset every time an additional minion dies. So this is basically a buff to minion respawn rate as well.
Okay, yeah, so I wouldn't have to. This is a good thing, yeah. Okay. It's gonna make the revives a little bit more consistent. That's gonna be nice.
And Bind Spectre Tame Beast Gem will unbuy them, allowing you to use them again. And Tame Beast can now fit through gaps the same size the player can, because sometimes.
Ooh, disenchanting a Bind Spectre or Tame Beast Gem will unbind them, allowing you to use them again. I've just been collecting them.
If you have the big fat boy, he just wouldn't fit through. A couple other random changes here around player balance. One notable one here is Glory is no longer consumed if you're interrupted while using the skill. I like that they're focusing on interrupts in particular, because interrupts are one of the more annoying part about the game when you're fighting monsters. So if you go to like start your hammer and you get punched by one of the little mobs that you're talking about earlier, and you go, you know, it doesn't just make it go on cooldown. You have to get your glory again. So this is actually like a pretty nice fix, both for later on in the campaign, but particularly mapping as well. Here, rally support's no longer restricted to strike or slams, can now support any melee attack you use yourself, and fix the bug where blood boils from the ritualist ascendancy didn't propagate if the monsters explode on death, such as when using Herald of Blood. We have some additions and thoughts on crafting here. They finished adding all of the mods to runes for caster weapons. So casters didn't have sockets before, now they will. Desert, Glacial, Storm, Iron, Body, Mind, Rebirth, Inspiration, Stone, Vision runes all work on wands and staves with their own set of modifiers. Okay, so you got your own set of modifiers. Rinley's Abandoned Shop.
Okay, I noticed that, and it's pretty cool, yeah. So now it'll, like, it's like you can't, like, 'cause before you couldn't use, like, an iron rune, so to speak, on a freaking scepter, you know?
Burning Village now also has a blank rune.
You gotta add extra physical damage to your scepter, but you don't attack with the scepter, so it's kind of like pointless.
Any elemental.
I assumed what they were gonna do is that they were gonna eventually add it so it's like, oh, the physical damage is applied to your minions, but I guess they're just not doing that at all.
Of your choosing, in case you didn't find one up to that point. So this is another like smart change, because some of the complaints have been like you're not finding either a particular rune you want, or you're not finding artificial orbs as well. And they mentioned that here 12 artificial orb drop locations fixed through the campaign have been added as well. So now you're going to have
you even get some as a reward, for the main campaign. So yeah, I noticed that too. I was fully like, dude, I don't remember ever getting this as a reward. All right, cool.
Significantly more sockets on gear that you choose to have the sockets as you play through the campaign, which means you probably have to spend less gold on things like buying gear in the vendor that has sockets just so you can salvage it, which again will turn into you have more gold available for gambles, etc. So this is actually a nice addition as well. Some visual updates to performance here. And that is what is basically making it into the patch for today. And then they have some other charm changes, stash tabs, atlas book, affinity changes, etc. that are going to be coming as well.
Some of the stash tabs that like, for example, the money stash tab, amazing change. They just sort of simplified it a little bit more and just sort of like just downsized it a little bit. I think it was good. It was overall a much cleaner look now.
Well, so here's actually probably another quite big one. So the charm system is not what I would say feeling very impactful. This has kind of been a consistent point of feedback since the launch of the game. A great change that has been suggested and it looks like implemented now is that the charm slots are actually an implicit on the belt. So it's no longer actually going to take up a a prefix of your belt to have more charms. It's just
that's nice. What would happen? So what's going to happen with? I guess I would say. What's going to happen with the modifiers for the stuff that already has it? Are they just going to go away?
More total charm, slots, and you can re-roll that with the divine orb if you choose to try to get more charm sockets. So belts have 1 at 32, 2 at 64, and 3 from 65 and onwards. So now you're actually going to have access to more charms instead of just like you just put the stun one or just put the freeze one. You're going to actually, by the time you get to maps and push on, you're going to be able to put multiple charms in there. Unique belts will always.
No, I'm glad, because at this point, charms are freaking useless. They kind of really are.
Just have 3 charm slots. That's a nice addition. And for now, unique belts with mods that increase the number of charms will still be capped at 3. Later on, they will remove that cap. And then the changes to actual charms. Several charms were not protecting you from the hit that activated them. These cases have been fixed. And they've also done a pass on charm mods to make them more powerful and rewarding. So basically, this is just a pretty massive buff to charms in general. You're going to be adding more stash tab affinities, socketable fragments, breach, expedition, ritual, just to make stashing stuff a little bit easier.
Socketables? Okay. Okay, fragments include tablets and trial keys. I like that. Breach, expedition, and ritual. I'm interested on the. I want to see what does
and
that
then
mean?
this is my most requested change.
Expedition, I'm assuming, is going to be like the expedition currencies.
Asking for this since the launch of the game, having a way to bookmark Atlas, basically have quality of life where you can put like, I want to save this one, I want to look at these types, etc. You can view a list of these. This is actually a nice quality of life change that's going to make it into the next patch as well. All in all, this is what I would consider.
That's very nice if you get yourself a particularly awesome map with like high XP or something. It's one that you really stacked with from your towers, and you want to wait until you get a waystone that's like really freaking stacked.
A quality of life patch and improvements. They're trying to remove annoying things and add in things that will make the game smoother and more enjoyable to play. This isn't necessarily like giant rebalancing, but this is probably the point that I've heard the most complained about is interrupt stuns, monster speed. So that's nice to see. Overall, should increase the smoothness feeling of going through the campaign.
It's an amazing TLC update.
There's a couple nice changes to some mob types in there that will make the mapping feel a little smoother as well. But that's just about it. I mean, they've kind of been back-to-back hitting us with these almost every single day, so we'll see if there's another post yet tomorrow. But for today, pretty good changes. That's about it. Love you all.
Like, I absolutely love that they're doing, I love that Acts 1 through 3, especially on Cruelty, don't feel, like, too easy. You actually feel like you're getting to the end game. You feel like... Eventually, though, they're gonna finish, like, they're gonna add the rest, and you're gonna have to, like, balance out the game a bit more. Those first couple of acts are gonna have to, like, chill, you get me? So, I guess... Yeah, I feel like, yeah, though, this is gonna be, like, it's a nice change. I feel like it's gonna be, a lot of people are gonna be able to push through the campaign a lot easier, less smoother, to get to the end game. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes next. I'm still waiting on Druid, though. I want a bear. I want to be able to summon a bear. But in this one, the Hunter summons a Roa, so that's freaking dope. I want to ride a bird. Alright, I'm gonna drop a like, share the video. It's on the Discord. Please go and check it out, monos. Thanks for hanging out. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and become a Monodachi today! I live stream all day, Monday through Friday, so go say hi! That's all for now, monos. Goodbye, and thanks for swinging by. Salut!